Mr. Rex Tillerson.
Over 8 days, the U.S. Secretary of State will visit the capitals of Ethiopia, Djibouti, Kenya, Chad and Nigeria. Rex Tillerson says the U.S. wants to show its commitment to African development.
This administration seeks to deepen our partnership with Africa with an aim of making African countries more resilient and more self-sufficient.
The trip was first announced in January, shortly after Donald Trump allegedly used a profanity to describe African countries. Other than that sentiment, which the president denies having expressed, this is one of the few on-the-record comments the president has made about the continent.
I have so many friends going to your countries trying to get rich.
It is not clear that President Trump has ever been to Africa, that he knows very much about the continent at all. And nor does he appear particularly interested in learning, which is the great irony, because for an administration such as his, which is trying to grow economic relationships around the world as a means of improving American businesses, there is enormous opportunity.
At a State Department background briefing about Tillerson's trip, officials, though, were keen to emphasize the U.S. sees more in Africa than U.S. corporate profits and military bases. In fact, U.S. officials criticized China and Russia for exploiting the resources of African countries without giving back to the African people. But while China has poured money into the development of African infrastructure and trade, the U.S. under President Obama massively expanded the U.S.'s military and CIA footprint throughout the continent. And it is notable that while key African vacancies remain in the Trump State Department, for example, an assistant secretary to coordinate diplomatic policy, the White House has managed to appoint a former CIA official to be its senior director for Africa. That the 5 countries of 54 chosen for Tillerson's trip are key to the U.S.'s military strategy in the region suggests, here at least, there will be continuity with President Obama's African policies.
Thank you for your very kind attention.
The State Department says Tillerson's trip will be the first of many to Africa, but there is a suspicion that the Trump administration doesn't intend fully to engage with the continent diplomatically, and there's a debate as to whether that's necessarily a bad thing for African nations. Shihab, Rattansi, Al Jazeera, Washington.